So the other aspect of what you've done is it's one thing to get into computer science and then learn and then specialize in cyber security and anything to do with the internet, but it's another to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner. So that's a whole different ball game, right? So it's a life constant ups and downs and struggles, and as yet, we all do it. So how did that come about? What was that entrepreneurial? You could have easily been working in a company,
Mm.
practicing what you know, but you did not do that. You decided to start a business. So what influenced you to start a business?
Well, it was two things. The first thing was I was being asked to travel from Dallas to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, every week, Monday to Friday in January. So I didn't want to do that. And at that time, my youngest was, I think, 10 months old, and she was very close to me. So I didn't really like traveling, but I had because of the job. So I, I quit that job and found a job locally here where I could just go to the office and come back home. The problem there was I saw the company I was working for. They were It's a pretty big company. They were lying to the client, that we have these things,
Oh,
we uh, we have those things, and they would say yes to everything that the client said. And the internal team didn't really take care of their own employees that well. So that really bothered me. Like I don't want to deal with any kind of travel if I can avoid it. And then I want to work at a place where I can be honest with the client, and also take care of my team. So those two reasons led me to start my own company.
I see. So I see this quite a bit. People working in a company, they love their work, but they just don't like the way the company operates.
Yep.
So that's and then they lose. So that's great. So and how long ago was that?
This was in 2018.
2018. 7 years.
Yes.
And of course, once you start it, then you can see that as an entrepreneur, you're having to deal with all kinds of things, right? So do you have other entrepreneurs in the family, or were you the first one?
I'm the first one.
You're the first one. So you really are brand new to being an entrepreneur, because there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and running a business. So you really had no prior experience in
No.
any of this. You did not study any of these things. So
No.
this is all new to you, right?
Yes.
So, it's the same for me because my entire family, they were all doctors, all
Oh, wow.
doctors.
Okay.
Nobody. And those the few that did not become a doctor in the family, their kids became doctors. So I was the only one who got into business. So
Wow.
now I see people who grew up in entrepreneurial families and I envy them because growing up, you hear things and that becomes a tremendous knowledge base.
Yes.
So when you start, you never had the luxury of having anything like that. So you're having to go through. So that's very gutsy, very gutsy. How does your father feel about you running your own business?
He is pretty happy and proud right now. When I when I started my company, I was just so tired of the job that I was on, so I just quit it, and I didn't have any new work for almost 2 months, and I didn't have any kind of income coming in for a total of, I think, 3 to 4 months. So when I shared that with my father, he was a bit worried, because we had kids. I had to pay the mortgage. He have a family
Yeah,
to to support also. But things have shaped out pretty well, and now he's pretty happy
yeah.
with what I have been able to accomplish so far.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I want to know is, have you ever told your father it was his advice that gave you the life you have today?
I did.
You did. And
Yes.
what was his reaction? Yeah.
But he,
They don't realize, do they? I mean, they do these things, say these things, but they don't really realize the impact. And when they hear it, I
yeah,
guess it's a very, yeah,
he he actually owes it all to God. Like he is very strong in his faith. So he said that he had prayed to God, and God had asked him to push me in that particular direction.
really. That's very profound. And did you know that
He told me later. I didn't know
later?
at that time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you got to tell him that, because
Yes.
a lot of people. So I ask this regularly, and most of the people say, "Oh, he knew." That's not what I'm asking. Did you tell him? That's a big difference.
Yes.
And then they realize, and sometimes in some of the cases, the person passed. So they say, you know what? I never got to tell him, but he knew. Well, you knew is one thing. People like
Yeah.
to hear it. So I'm glad that you got to tell him that. That's great. Look, you are on a journey of as an entrepreneur, and you are in a very high value space, and it's a space that's growing. So this is great. And now that you are adding your podcast to share people to help people share their stories in this
Mm.
space, it's a noble thing to do. So it's great.